What is up, everybody? Update 8 for Hell Let Loose is here. And after playing for a few hours, there's some good things and there's some bad things. First and foremost, the developers have already said they're looking at all the feedback, so I expect a lot of these things to be tweaked in the coming weeks, coming days, maybe. Also, there is way too much to cover in this video, so I will link the full patch notes below in the description, so I highly suggest you go read them because there's no chance I'm covering all that. We're just going over the bigger topics here. And by the way, this is the Fresh Baked Goods, and thank you for clicking on this video. So right off the bat, let's talk about the gunplay. After Update 8, everything has slowed down. Your movement speed feels slower. Firefights you're going to get into are going to be a little more tactical. Some of the weapons now have more kick, noticeably the Garand and the Gewehr. They kick like mules. But most importantly, the time to kill is now a little bit higher.
I don't know. If you want to look it up, I know it's on 4.
Why isn't this guy fucking dying? I don't know if it was the adjustments on the hitboxes or if it's more hit registration issues, but the majority enemies you face now are not going to be one-hit kills anymore. So you really have to aim for the head or center mass. Otherwise, make sure you double tap for safety. Shots in the arms and the legs definitely will probably not kill someone in one hit. So aim for the heart and head, pop them twice. Also, there's some new loadouts. Most noticeably on the German side, almost every role can have an MP40 now. Personally, I think it's a little overkill. I know people were begging for the Germans to have a little more automatic firepower to combat the US side with the Grand, but I don't think every role needs an MP40. I think that's a little much. The United States also got the addition of the grease gun to their arsenal. I personally have not had a chance to use this yet. From what I've heard, it's all right. Not too great, not too bad, but it's there for you. It's another option, but I personally have not tried it yet, so I can't tell you for sure. But overall, the firefights you're going to get into are going to be way more tactical. They really pulled back on the little run and gun style that was in there, and they are really focusing on being tactical and precise. And honestly, I don't think this is all a bad thing. Especially, I fully expect the TTK to get reverted to back the way it was, because that's something that made this game so special. And I feel implicating the higher TTK, taking more shots, giving people a better chance to live, honestly kind of goes against what the core player base really wanted out of this game. So I fully expect that to get reverted to how it was. And I think once they do that, we're going to be in a very, very good spot with the gunplay and the infantry firefights in this game. Bullet penetration, honestly, is pretty inconsistent. I know it was kind of hyped up as this big game-changing thing. I did get shot behind a couple wooden fences that I wouldn't have before, and MG42s seem to rip through hedge lines. But other than that, I have not seen a huge impact with the bullet pen. Hiding behind trees, still great cover. I think this is kind of going to be a more low-key detail of the game and not this huge thing that was being advertised. There was some sound effects and FX updates. You'll notice explosions sound much better, in my opinion. They're a lot closer to Postscriptum. Very sharp, very intense, very brutal to go along with the brand new explosions. Most notably, bombing runs are absolutely terrifying now. Bombing run's about to come over Scar. Watch out, boys. Those things are scary if you see one coming towards you. They sound and look awesome. Another big one that's fun to hear is when you hear a round ricochet off a tank. It now has that whistle kind of fizz thing going on that other games had, so I'm glad that's in there. It's just a nice little touch to see. But overall, these sound effects, I think they are phenomenal. I'm very happy they're in here, and they just add a much needed immersion effect to this game. Next, let's talk about those trucks. We got supply trucks, we got transport trucks, and these have changed the game drastically. Transport trucks, not so much. They're really good at the start of the match to zoom on in there and drop players off, but then they kind of get underutilized. Supply trucks, on the other hand, that is the key to winning games now. We'll touch on the support and engineer roles in a second, but supply trucks, they can drop 2 loads of supplies, each worth 150 points. They can be resupplied at the same spots in the HQ where tanks rearm. So if you have someone that's willing to drive these supply trucks around all match, you can build garrisons like a motherfucker. You can help your team dramatically as long as someone's willing to be a logistics squad. The only downside is you can get sniped out of these trucks rather easily, and they do blow up in one shot if you hit the engine with a rocket. So you have to be very careful with them. Don't be one of the assholes that takes them at starts and use them as a taxi and leaves them on the front line. That's not what these trucks are for. So while they are fragile, they can be very, very helpful if used right. And to go with these supply trucks, we do have a little support overhaul. This one's kind of hit or miss for me. Being as someone that grinded out support to level 10 before this update, I didn't mind the death loop. The death loop is now gone. You now have a cooldown timer. It is 5 minutes. Unless you go by a node, then that can reset it to 2.5 minutes. So it'll cut it in half basically. But now support can only drop 50 supplies, which is enough to build 1 garrison. But no matter what, that timer's gotta go down before they can place it again. If you die, it doesn't matter. That is gone. All that matters is the timer. So support now cannot drop supplies as fast as they could before. So you have to be really meticulous about where you put your supplies and your planning in general. To go with the support overhaul, the engineer got some new abilities. The engineer can now build bunker defenses and wall defenses. It's pretty cool. It's definitely helpful on the more out in the open maps like Foy. They have to work very closely with people playing as support and also the people driving the logi trucks, because these do take a bunch of supplies, but done correctly, it's very helpful, very easy to get these up and whatnot. And how these buildings are built are now the same way how nodes are built and the same way how anti-tank guns are built. Engineers and anti-tanks, they must place an outline of what they want to build, and then support and engineer have hammers that then can build these. The more people with hammers working on them, the faster they get built. Also, I will say this, be very, very careful where you put these outlines down, because they are a pain to move. But nonetheless, these abilities are still very fun, very helpful. You just have to know what you're doing. There's a little bit of a learning curve there. Once you get the hang of it, you can build a fortress. Garrisons. Let's see. Garrisons are now 200 meters spaced apart. So a whole grid square, basically. It's no longer 100 meters to garrison, it's 200, which is tricky to say the least. You really have to communicate with the other squad leaders and the commander about building these. You can get into some situations where, you know, your garrisons are just not spaced out correctly and you kind of get shafted and you have to build one far away. So it's a pain. I hope this gets reverted back to 100. I think 100 was perfect. I think it was fine. I don't see the need for these to be 200. And then we have the new Hurtgen map. This map is awesome, in my opinion. I think it is miles better than the old Hurtgen. It looks great, it plays great, there's no visibility issues. I love the look of it, especially on the warfare mode when it's a little bit clearer. Offensive, it has kind of that fog around it. But warfare looks great, man. When you're fighting through those burned out forests, it definitely adds kind of more battle-torn feel that all these maps have missed. So I'm glad it's here. I can't wait to play more of it. I think I like it. I've only played on it a few times, so I don't want to give a final verdict, but I'm really enjoying it so far, and I can't wait to get back in there. And those are probably all the biggest topics I wanted to cover here. There is a bunch of little things that are worth mentioning. Enemy garrisons can no longer be destroyed by grenade. You have to dismantle them, while enemy outposts can now be destroyed by grenade. Enemy nodes take fucking forever to dismantle, so if you see all the nodes around, make sure you dismantle those, because there's a lot more of them now. And also there was a couple issues performance-wise. The FPS is kind of inconsistent. Some maps it's definitely flying for me and looks like butter. Some maps it was chugging a little more now, but I think that'll get fixed soon. Then also, I noticed a lot of people are having issues with the voice chat. I know it's gone down from time to time where you kind of, you know, lose all ability to communicate in voice. It happened to me 3 times on the first day of this update, and I was noticing it happened to a lot of my squad mates as well throughout the day, so I think that's going to be an issue that hopefully gets looked at. But overall, Update 8, there's a lot to like here, but there's also a lot that kind of steers this game in the wrong direction, in my opinion. I don't think the TTK should be raised. I don't think Garrison should be 200 meters. There's just no reason to mess with that stuff, so hopefully that gets reverted. I do enjoy the logistical part of this. I think if once people get the hang of it and get these Logi squads up and running, I think it adds a whole new depth to this game. And like I said before, devs have already announced they're looking at all this stuff, so very well by the time you're watching this could have all changed by now. But this is these are my thoughts, you know, day 1 of the update and what's been going on. And like I said before, there's a lot going on in this update, whether it be fixes and just changes in general, so I cannot suggest reading the patch notes enough. There's a lot going on. This game plays way differently than it did in Update 7. But I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts on Update 8. Please let me know below in the comments. I love to hear this stuff. I love to hear people's opinions on this game since I have such a love for it and put so much time into it. I'm always curious to hear what other people think about it, because I kind of look at it with you know, these rose-tinted glasses already. And also, if you've made it this far, you might be a fan of my channel, you might be a fan of Hell Let Loose. Please give this video a like, please consider subscribing if you want to see more Hell Let Loose. But thank you for everything you do, thank you for watching, I'll see you dudes on the front line.